Bonjour à tous. Today we're doing something a little different. We're going on a deep dive into one of Paris' most fascinating religious and architectural landmarks, the Grand Mosque of Paris. I'll walk you through its history, architecture, social significance, and also share some interesting lesser-known stories. At the beginning of this video, I showed a glimpse of a restaurant that stored my luggage. So how do I know this restaurant can store luggage? Is because I downloaded an app called Stasher. So by having this app, you are able to tell or find places where they can store luggage nearby to the places that you wanted to visit. This is not an advertisement, by the way. It's just a tip and trick for you to ease your movement around Paris without bringing your luggage with you. I hope this will be useful. Okay, let's continue. The Grand Mosque of Paris is located in the 5th arrondissement of Paris, in the Latin Quarter, near the Jardin des Plantes. It stands out in the city. You recognize it by its tall minaret, approximately 33 meters high, rising above the low-rise neighborhood. Historically, the mosque occupies a special place. It is among the oldest, and in metropolitan France, perhaps the oldest major purpose-built mosque for the Muslim population, dating from the 1920s. To understand it fully, we need to look at what France was like during the early 20th century, the First World War, the colonial ties with North Africa, such as Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco, and how the French Republic was beginning to deal with a growing Muslim presence in metropolitan France. The mosque is intimately linked to that colonial and post-colonial history. Okay, on my right is the National Museum of Natural History, which I hope we can cover in another vlog. Right, you can see from here the minaret of the Grand Mosque on my left. And we are reaching the mosque already. As I cross the street to the other side, I can already see at this corner there is a restaurant inside the mosque, and they also offer alfresco dining. So do we know why was this mosque built? One of the key motivations, in recognition of the many thousands of Muslim soldiers from the French colonial territories who fought, and many died for France in the First World War. French sources estimate around 70,000 Muslim colonial soldiers died during World War I. Thus, the mosque was conceived as a kind of memorial, a tribute, and also a symbol of France's republic, recognizing Islam or at least acknowledging Muslims.
You know how to get to the mosque?
I'm trying to find a way. It's locked?
Yeah, probably. Maybe from the other side.
Okay, so don't use this entrance if you're going into the mosque. It should be on the other side. So obviously I'm not the only one who thought this is the good entrance, thanks to Google Map. Let's continue walking. So the mosque project was approved after the war. Construction began in 1922, when the first stone was laid by Sultan Moulay Yusuf of Morocco. The building process lasted about 4 years, with the inauguration taking place on 16th July 1926. Architects involved included Maurice Tranchon de Lunel, together with Robert Fournet, Maurice Montou, and Charles Ubes. The style was Moorish Revival or Hispano-Moorish, inspired by North African and Andalusian architecture, with many craftspeople brought in from Morocco and the Maghreb region. At the inauguration, President Gaston Doumergue represented France and Sultan Yusuf represented Morocco. The ceremony emphasized Franco-Muslim friendship and France's protection of all beliefs. The entrance door is carved cedar decorated with Arabic script and floral motifs, reflective of traditional Islamic art. Okay, so allez-y means go ahead, but I was just stunned because I thought we have to remove our shoes, but the guard did not say anything about that. Here is the door to the minaret, but it's not authorized to go in there. Here is the garden which I was talking about. It's beautiful from here. We'll take a closer look inside. The mosque covers an area of about 7,500 square meters, and inside there is a large Arabic-style garden, roughly around 3,500 square meters, as part of the complex, which I can't wait to show you. Okay, we are approaching the ticket counter on my right. To enter the mosque it's free, but if you prefer a guided tour, the fee is around €3 per person. So in short, this Grand Mosque was built as a major gesture of recognition, memorializing Muslim soldiers, linking France to its colonial Muslim populations, and creating an architectural landmark for Islam in France. For non-Muslim, if you want to visit, you have to dress respectfully, as you would for any religious site. For example, shoulders covered and no shorts. Try visiting early morning or late afternoon for calmer ambience. Here's a restricted area only reserved for Muslim men. Inside there's a prayer hall which has carpets, a mihrab or a prayer niche pointing to Mecca, intricately carved wood, mosaics and wrought ironwork. Okay, here's another garden, and that's the stranger that I met earlier. I don't plan to go here because I don't want him to think that I'm stalking him. Just kidding. Because of its design and materials, stepping into the mosque feels like stepping into a Mediterranean space within Paris, with tiles, water, garden, and arches. This architecture helps create a serene atmosphere, a contrast with the bustle of Paris streets. We are entering the garden area. It features fountains, tiles, and then beautiful shady plants, all arranged to evoke a Maghreb or Andalusian garden mosque setting. Here's the view of the minaret. It's a major visual element, covered in white and green tile, rising above the neighborhood. It's too bad they did not turn on the fountain, the water fountain, otherwise the view will be perfect. Even so, I can see these children are already enjoying their time in this garden. Today, the mosque is both a place of worship for Muslims and tourist attraction in Paris. It hosts visitors, provides guided tours, has a restaurant, tea room, and hammam open to non-Muslims in the non-prayer sections. The mosque's presence is also part of ongoing debates in France about secularism or laïcité, Islam's place in French society, immigration, and integration. In that sense, it stands at a kind of crossroads of architecture, religion, history, and modern social issues. During the German occupation of France in 1940s, the Grand Mosque played a humanitarian role. Under the leadership of its rector, Sikadur Bengabrit, the mosque helped shelter Jews, providing forged certificates of Muslim identity, hiding people, and offering refuge. This story is less widely known but significant as a demonstration of interfaith solidarity under very difficult circumstances. Okay, we are now entering Emir Abdul Qadir's room. He was a religious leader, mystic, and resistant to the colonization of Algeria by French troops. He is known throughout the world for having saved, in July 1860, the Christians of Damascus during the bloody conflict between the Druze and the Maronites of Mount Lebanon. His thought and his action, particularly attached to the respect of human rights, provoked immense admiration among the men of his time who saw in him a major figure of the 19th century. The conference room that we saw earlier is named after him. It is the place for dialogue, exchange, openness, and has welcomed the greatest personalities from France and the world. You can learn more about the history of the mosque here, including some real photos from the early construction of the mosque. Let's now look at the broader historical role the Grand Mosque has played, beyond just architecture and origins. The mosque construction and inauguration reflect France's colonial linkage with North Africa, such as Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. Building a Grand Mosque in Paris was part of integrating, or at least acknowledging, the Muslim populations within the French Republic and then colonial empire. As one source puts it, the French Republic did not yet know quite what Islam it wanted, nor which Islam it did not want. We are now looking at the memorial of Muslim soldiers who died fighting for France in the year 1914 to 1918. On my right is the tomb of Sikadur bin Kabrit. Here lies the late Sikadur bin Kabrit, founder of the Great Mosque of Paris. Al-Fatiha to him. As part of France's Muslim policy, he worked actively for the creation of the Great Mosque of Paris, which he directed during its inauguration on July 15, 1926. Until his death on June 24, 1954, he distinguished himself both through his spiritual work and his humanitarian commitment, providing help to the poor, the vulnerable, and the persecuted. We are now entering a small shop or boutique in the Grand Mosque that sells Islamic products such as Islamic books for children, perfume, and many others. Let's check them all out. There are many interesting, important read for children, Muslim children here, which is for me is very crucial to the Muslim children to understand the history of Islam. In France, we know that many schools, they do not provide religious studies. Normally, it's not permitted in France schools. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So these Islamic children books are the best alternative for Muslim children to learn more about Islam in their early years, apart from watching YouTube. Okay, that's the end of our tour in the boutique. And here we are now at the library or La Bibliothèque of the Grand Mosque. It often gets overlooked by tourists, but it's honestly one of the most meaningful spaces here. It houses rare manuscripts, books on Islamic history, theology, art, literature, and even contemporary research. And what a surprise to find a Quran with a Malaysia flag on it. I'm a proud Malaysian. If you're someone who loves books, this place feels like a sanctuary. You'll find works in Arabic, French, and other languages, reflecting the diversity of the Muslim world. For me, the library highlights the mosque's educational mission, reminding us that Islam isn't only about spirituality but also about learning, reflection, and culture. This library is named after Abdul Hamid bin Badis, who was born in Algeria on December 4th, 1889. He was the founder of the Association of Algerian Muslim Scholars. In 1931, he embodied the Muslim reformist movement of the first half of the 20th century. Concerned with questions of identity and knowledge, he worked for the education of girls and boys through an egalitarian educational approach. He died on April 16, 1940. Today, Algerians celebrate April 16 each year as the National Day of Knowledge. So in short, the Grand Mosque was built as a major gesture of recognition, memorializing Muslim soldiers, linking France to its colonial Muslim populations, and creating an architectural landmark for Islam in France. The mosque is designed in a Moorish or Hispano-Moorish style, inspired by North African, Maghreb, and Andalusian architecture. Examples of influences include the Madrasa from Fez, the Zaytuna Mosque in Tunisia, and the Alhambra in Spain. Many of the mosaics, carved wood, wrought iron, and decorative elements were made by craftsmen from Morocco and North Africa. In the decades after the war, the mosque continued to function as a center for Muslim life in Paris. For prayer, education, cultural dialogue, it became one of the most visible mosques in France and a symbol of Islam in a secular republic. Since 1921, the property has been under the authority of the Société des Abeaux et Liaisons de l'Islam, which owns the building. Over time, the mosque has had links to Algeria in terms of financing and cultural link, despite the building being initially built with Moroccan cooperation. For instance, the Algerian government financed part of its budget in recent decades. Now I am approaching the ablution room. This is where Muslims perform ablution before prayers. It is very well maintained by the employees of the mosque. And here's the female prayer hall, and it's restricted only to worshippers. It is indeed breathtaking and calming, with carpeted floors, high wooden ceilings, ornate arches. The atmosphere inside is incredibly serene. And what you are seeing here is the process of cleaning the carpet of the prayer hall. Even if you are not here to pray, you feel a deep sense of presence and peace. It's a reminder that this building is living history, still serving thousands of worshippers every week. Okay, we are now back at the entrance just to show you the rules and regulations in the mosque. Okay, so for food lovers, I am now in the restaurant La Mosquée de Paris inside the mosque itself. Outside there is a tea room and it's really famous. The mosque restaurant serves traditional North African cuisine, couscous, tagines, grilled meats, pastries, mint tea, everything rich, fragrant and full of flavors. The setting is stunning, patterned tiles, plants, lanterns, and a peaceful courtyard atmosphere. It feels like you're having lunch in a riad in Morocco. So I ordered pastilla Marocaine and a mint tea, which cost me 23 euros. Thanks for spending this time with me at the Grand Mosque of Paris. I hope this video inspires you to explore not just the mosque itself, but the culture, history, and beauty that surround it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if there's another place you'd like me to explore. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and Assalamu alaikum.